Hi everyone, and welcome to a webcast office hour. So there's a particular question on the webwork that a lot of people have asked about, so I wanted to kind of go over some of the ideas in it. You won't get a full solution out of this thing, but I hope that there's a lot of helpful hints, and you're going to kind of find out how I'm going to think about this question. Now, this is not the only way to think about it. There's actually many different right answers, but I think there's probably one very natural right answer, and from that answer it'd be possible to get a whole bunch of other ones because of reparametrization. So let me first let me read off what it is. The question is to parameterize the arc of a circle of radius 11 from P is the origin to Q is 22, 0. And you might have different numbers for the radius and for that other point, but the key idea here is that the radius of the circle should be half that x-coordinate of the Q point right there. So what you have to do in the question is you have to specify what's x of t, what's y of t. You have to give formulas there for both of those. Those should both have t's in them, and then you have to give numbers here. In class we called those things t start and t end. Right? So you got to specify 4 things, and here's a picture. So the picture I'm going to draw is this arc of a circle, arc here meaning part of a circle. This is going to end up being the center of the circle. So in my case with the numbers, you have 11, 0. There's the origin, that's P. There's this point over here, that's Q. And so the half circle, if there's really a half circle of radius 11, it's something that's going to look like that. And even the direction that I just drew this is correct. So let me just actually label, one or more orientation arrows like that. And it is easy to obtain what x of t and y of t should be if we first look at a different problem. So what I actually want to do is take this arc that's right here, and I actually just want to move everything over, in my case 11 units to the left, right? Move everything. And let me just start on a new sheet of paper. We'll come back to this in just a second. So if we moved everything over, then the picture should look something like this, right? So there's x and y. Now the origin is all of a sudden the center of the circle. Here's the point P, there's the point Q, and here's a half circle like this of radius 11, right? Maybe I should just label the points there. So now the new P and the new Q look like this, right? And the orientation is still the same as before. Let me bring back the previous page. We got to get something that travels really clockwise instead of counterclockwise. So really just for now the question is, here's a related problem. If we could find what x of t and y of t are here along with the appropriate numbers to be t start and t end, if we could solve this question, right, whatever we get right here for x of t and y of t, right, whatever we get here, it ought to be related to the x of t and y of t for this question, because whatever is x of t from over here and whatever is y of t here, we should be able to now rig this or fix it, because these two pictures are related, right? So the red curve is a, well, let's say it this way. So to go from the red curve to the blue curve, you have to move 11 units to the right. So whatever the answer is going to be here, whatever the parameterization is here, this picture, this blue picture, is simply just 11 units over to the right, meaning that the x-coordinate grows by 11, right? So take whatever's here and add 11 just to the x of t, and then you ought to have a parameterization to this. So I hope that talks about enough of the link between this problem and this one. But how do we do this one? So this one's still a little tricky, actually, I think, because of this. So what I want to do is say, what's tricky about this problem here, just one little thing, is that the orientation is sort of backwards from the usual one. Right? So what I mean is this. So let's, I hate to do this again, but I want to do this. Let's take this problem, and I want to look at a related question, which is simply the same picture, but with the orientation going the sort of usual way. So if I had something like that, sorry, terrible picture. Okay, and if the half circle were oriented this way, then what should x of t and y of t be? Right? This is a circle of radius 11, and what should t start and t end be here? So the full circle would go from 0 all the way up to 2 pi, but we only just want to go from 0 to pi. And a unit circle would be parameterized as x is cosine t and y is sine t, but since this is a circle of radius 11, this has got to be 11 cosine of t, and this has to be 11 sine t. Okay, so here's a parameterization for the circle of radius, for half of a circle of radius 11, the upper half. Now, how do we change this in order to get this thing? Right? So that takes a little work, but here's the hint I want to give, is that I suggest you don't mess with the t start and t end value of 0 and pi. Now you could, there's ways to do this, but I'd say stick with this and look at what happens when you plug in. So the thing is, when you start here with t is equal to 0, you end up getting this point, right? Because of the direction that the arrows point. You get the point at 11, 0 when you plug in t is 0, and you get the point when you plug in t is pi, you get this point over here, negative 11, 0. But in this picture, that's not what you want. So whatever you start at t with, and I suggest 0, go ahead and plug into the previous formulas, right? And you'll get the point over here, which is not the one you want. You want the point over here. So you're going to have to modify one or both of these things in order to get that. So take a look at plugging in t is 0 to try to obtain this point. Notice what's sort of off about these. And what I suggest you actually do is go back here, look at some known t values, like maybe pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3. Look at some angles which are on the unit circle and see how changing the t value, look at the sort of evolution of the points you see along this path here. And when you plug in those same t values over here, if you don't change the formula, of course you're getting the same thing, but the points go in the opposite direction of what you need. So there's got to be a way to tweak that and fix that. And what you'll need to do is change the formula for x of t in an appropriate way. So think of how do you compare as you run t from 0 to pi over here, and as you run t from 0 to pi over here. How do the x-coordinates here compare with the x-coordinates in this picture? See, in this picture, the x-coordinate starts at positive 11 and starts shrinking and shrinking until you get to negative 11. In this picture, the x-coordinate starts at, or we want the x-coordinate to start at negative 11, right? And then that x-coordinate has to keep growing until you get to positive 11. So I hope that connects what's going on. Here was the original problem, so let's try to actually put this in some sort of order. So even though this is the question that we ultimately need to solve, its answer is simply going to be 11 plus in the x-coordinate to this problem here, right? Because all you're going to do is take this picture, and to obtain the picture in the original problem is shift everything over 11 units to the right. Okay, but this question, the thing was the orientation is backwards. So it helps to just solve this sort of as the usual question of, well, here's a half circle oriented the usual or counterclockwise way. So to sort of start over, instead of phrasing this so much right now in terms of this is what we want, here's the problem, how do we solve it? Okay, let's start from here. If you want, you can think of it this way. So all you got to do is take this parameterization of a half circle of radius 11, and you have to tweak this parameterization somehow in order to have the same shape but just have the orientation go the opposite direction. So what has to change here? And the change is going to be, I don't want to say subtle, but try to think through the relationship between this picture and this one. Then from here, this is the half circle centered at the origin, and then in this picture all you want to do is move everything 11 units over to the right. So that will change the x parameterization simply by adding 11 to it.